Let's preview the 2024 Sun Belt football season, and Coastal Carolina and Jacksonville State are playing later tonight. It's Locked On Sun Belt.
You are Locked On Sun Belt, your daily podcast on the Sun Belt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sun Belt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy fixes tired fast. With zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. Go to 5hourenergy.com and use promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th and on only one order and cannot be used with other promotions. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. I'm going to do that today because I got tired yesterday and it was not great. Okay, we'll get to the 2024 football season here in the Sun Belt. My picks are not off the charts by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of chalk, maybe some teams not doing as well towards the bottom, but not a whole lot of shocking value there as far as I'm concerned. Let's talk Coastal Carolina and Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State coming off the bowl win over the Cajuns, and Coastal Carolina going out to Hawaii and coming up with a bowl win in Tim Beck's first season. New quarterback for Jacksonville State, and but can the defense, which is very good, and the running attack is also very good. Will they be able to slow down Coastal Carolina, and will they be able to run through Coastal Carolina, as Coastal had a lot of issues with stopping the run last year? Ethan Vasco and Noah Kim on the old depth chart are or Ethan Vasco or Noah Kim. Is that because Noah Kim, earned his right to, get some plays, or did Ethan Vasco not exactly win the position outright, which would be a little bit disappointing? I mean, didn't we hear Tim Beckham said he went 3-1 last year as a starter? I mean, I guess there's always somebody potentially better, but you would like to think that Ethan Vasco would be given all the benefit of the doubt, and maybe somewhere he was not as consistent as Tim Beck would like him. I don't know. We got the old or on the depth chart, so we shall see. It's not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination for Coastal Carolina. You say a short week, but it's not, because they're playing on a Thursday night, but they've had all month to prepare. All right, so what can Coastal do? Coastal's going to have to put up some points. I think they're going to have to put up some points. They're going to have to get to that 24, 28 point plateau to hang with Jacksonville State. For those who don't know, Jacksonville State is Rich Rodriguez, one of the he's the head coach, one of the biggest what ifs in the history of what ifs. For those who don't know, Nick Saban was not the first choice for Alabama. It was Rich Rodriguez who said, no, thank you. And I think he ended up at West Virginia. That was after Michigan, or maybe it's the other way around. But he said no thank you to Alabama. And the rest, as they say, is history. But he's turning this program around. They're competitive. They're athletic. It was a really good New Orleans Bowl against the Cajuns. I don't think Chandler Fields played all that well in that game, and yet they still had a shot in the game. And we'll see if Coastal has issues. The Cajuns could not get off the field defensively. When they had opportunities to get off the field, they could not get off the field. It was a good football game, though. And we'll see what happens. Usually everyone's rusty, right? There's no preseason games. They're playing scrimmage against guys that they've played against for a month. Not really learning anything new. Maybe who's gotten into better shape, something along those lines. It's nice national exposure for Conference USA and the Sun Belt, being on CBS Sports Network on a Thursday night. So that's nice. Obviously, it's not the only game on Thursday night. So we'll have a bunch of college football, but good chance for the Sun Belt, again, to get off to a good start. It's that opportunity, what we talked with Ted Alexander yesterday for ODU. this is a good opportunity for Coastal Carolina to say, we'll go to the Conference USA and we'll play them on the road and we'll go in there and beat them. I'm probably going to be a little bit homer here and take Coastal Carolina because, they're Sunbelt. They are underdogs by 3. I would not be surprised if Jacksonville State won the football game. Maybe a little bit surprised if Coastal does. But I'm betting literally on Coastal Carolina to win that game. I probably took the line. I may take the money line. I may bet on Coastal just to flat out win the game. Again, Rich Rod's done a really good job. Jacksonville State's come on quickly. It's going to be a little bit different when you are the hunted instead of the hunter, right? They're not going to catch Coastal Carolina off guard, not after having the season they had last year and, beating the Cajuns. So they'll have their attention. All right. They'll know full well, this is not some team to take lightly. So we'll see if it's a good game. We'll see. I'm most interested to see, again, 66 new players for Coastal Carolina. Who's the quarterback? Are they playing 2 quarterbacks? Is there a special package for one quarterback over the other? So I'm interested in seeing, what does this offense look like? Is it still what was Grayson McCall running versus maybe what Ethan Vasco runs? I'm not going to tell you I know that off the top of my head. But it'd be interesting to see what the offense is overall, and maybe there's a difference between the 2 offenses for the quarterbacks. I don't know. But I'm going to say 28-24 Coastal Carolina. They cover and they win. That's what I'm going with. All right. We'll see. So far on the betting line, 0-1. I had SMU. So, that's where we are. That not too bad of a hit. Although I will say, I did suggest when they were losing by 17 to hop on Montana State. When they were at halftime, they were only down 10 and they were only like plus 124. They got down, or they were down 10. Yeah. And then they got down 17 and then it was like plus 310 and they ended up winning. So of course I didn't. I'm all talk. All right, let's take a timeout. We will preview the Sun Belt by divisions. We'll do the West first, and then we will go to the East, and we will do that when we come back after I tell you about 5-Hour Energy. So I didn't take 5-Hour Energy on Wednesday, and it cost me. I was tired all day. I needed a little bit of oomph right after lunch, and I will not be making the same mistake again. I'm going to make that order special today. I'm going to have to pick some up because that order is not going to get to me, by the time I need it. So I'm going to use it again on my feet all day long. Wouldn't say, straining by any stretch of the imagination physically, but just different because I'm used to sitting and either on a computer or on the phone and not on my feet. And being on my feet all day long has made me tired. And when I have my 5-Hour Energy, it helps me get through the day. That is for sure. 5-Hour Energy is the brand hardworking people like you have trusted for over 20 years to give them the alert, energized feeling they need to get through a busy, hectic day. You always know where to find 5-Hour Energy shots right at the cash register at nearly every convenience, drug, and grocery store nationwide. Stock up on money-saving multi-packs to make sure you never run out of delicious, energizing 5-Hour Energy shots. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that is the number 5, hourenergy.com, and get some 5-Hour Energy product today. You can use my promo code LOCKDOWNCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until the end of the month, September 30th, and on only one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your team every day. Sorry about some technical difficulties, still working through it in the new place. But let's preview the 2024 Sunbelt season. And I do think that the Sunbelt has a legit shot to make a splash and get to the, have a couple of teams in the top 25 and vie for that playoff spot, right? I mean, Boise State's coming to Georgia Southern. What happens if the Eagles knocked them off, right? We got App State at Clemson. Cajuns are playing Wake. Texas State's got UTSA and Arizona State. Now, if the Sun Belt all comes up short, that's going to end it pretty quickly for a playoff spot. But what if some of these teams actually win, right? And by October 1st, you have numerous teams in the top 25, right? It may not be, splash if all wins, but it'll be huge for the Cajuns. I mean, if they take down Tulane at home, that's huge, huge. So there is opportunities for the Sun Belt to make early splashes. Let's talk about the Sun Belt West finish, see if this wants to work now, and I can stop it with the video going through it. All right, let's see here. Continuing with the technical difficulties. I'm sorry about that. So I'd have a nice slide with the teams. So I'm going to be reading it. You'll have to take my word for it. ULM, I got finishing last. I do think they're going to beat somebody they're not supposed to. 2 wins is actually pretty good because their win total is 1.5. But don't be surprised if they take somebody down that they're not supposed to. Someone's not going to be ready to go into Monroe. And I think Bryant Vincent's team is going to be physical. They're going to be fast. We'll see how skilled they are. But I think that ULM is going to surprise some teams this year, surprise a team this year. Again, somebody they're not supposed to beat is going to get clipped by the Warhawks. I would look for them to win 3 ball games. The surprise probably on this list is going to be Troy finishing 6th. New everything, right? New coach, new quarterback, new running back. Thank goodness Chris Lewis is still there. We'll see if he can come back from cancer. But it's a whole new ball game with Troy. The problem is with Troy is that the last guy went in there, although he had all the talent, including Carlton Marshall, and won not 1 but 2 Sun Belt championship games. So the standard is set. I'm not sure Troy's going to be bad. I don't think the bottom is going to fall out. I just think that there's a lot of pieces that have to be replaced, and Jared Parker is being a head coach for the first time. So I got them finishing 6th. Continuing with the Sun Belt West preview, we have Southern Miss. Got Southern Miss finishing 5th. I was going to do them a little bit higher, but they got to overcome a lot. I do think it's going to be, Tate Rodemaker as the quarterback. A lot rests on his shoulders. We'll see. He's going to be the guy for the first time. I know he played a little bit last year with Florida State, but he's heading into the season as the guy we think. Ethan Crawford will probably come in and play a little bit, but I do think that Southern Miss is probably going to be a little bit better. What is their over-under, like 4.5 wins? Let's see if they get to 5 or 6 wins. And the Fighting Will Halls could be on the verge of a bowl game. All right. I think the most intriguing team in the West is South Alabama. I'm not sure exactly what to expect from them at all. Major Applewhite seeing some press conferences from Sun Belt Media Days and earlier this week locally in Mobile just seems to be more relaxed. We've talked about that, right? He was, coming from the big schools, Texas and Alabama, and he was a head coach in Houston and a little bit of a scandal there. He just seems to be more comfortable in his own skin, right? We always wondered what would happen if Kane Wommack moved on. We didn't see it happening the way it did, but, would he get a head coaching job at a Power 5 school and take Major with him, or would Major take the head coaching job here? And obviously it's a great opportunity, right? The facilities need one more athletic building and they would be all set, but great new stadium. You got to build that fan base up. We talked with Ted Alexander, about ODU playing football. South Alabama hasn't played football for a generation either yet, I don't think. So, with Major there and now Gio Lopez, how does that work out, right? New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. I'm really intrigued to see what happens because, again, this is the first recruited quarterback, if you will, through the system that is going to be there, right? We had Jake Bentley and then Carter Bradley. Those guys were technically recruited, but, Jake was, active yardage leader among them in the NCAA. So he had a ton of experience. Carter Bradley had some experience. All Gio Lopez knows is South Alabama. Played a little bit last year, obviously looked really well in the bowl game, was put in a tough spot against Troy on the road. I know I've talked with other, coaches saying they think Gio Lopez is going to be really good. Now, struggled in spring ball a little bit. Maybe struggled in the scrimmages, although I'm not sure he played all that much. So this is the team that I'm most intrigued about so far is South Alabama. I do have them, let's see here, 5th, if I can count. 4th is, no, we're doing this wrong. 1, 2, 3. South Alabama is 4th. I'm sorry. My understanding is that there would be no math. And then we're going to Arkansas State. I really think if the Cajuns or Texas State are not, up to the task, watch out for Arkansas State. Let's see if Jalen Raynor takes a huge step forward. Those recruits that, Butch Jones got a couple of years ago, see if they are adding to the mix. Does it all pay off, right? Do they take the next step? Is it a baby step? Is it a big step? Can they win on the road? We've talked about this with Jalen Raynor. We want to see him be more consistently good, not necessarily great. And, can he hang in there if things are not going well, right? We've all seen that where, teams are not playing well for 2.5, 3 quarters, and all of a sudden maybe get a turnover or score, and you've been trailing all game long, and, all of a sudden a double-digit game is now a 1-score ball game, and you can take the ball down and change the way you played all game long, and no one's going to remember the 2.5 or 3 quarters that he didn't play well in. They're going to remember that you led them to victory. So that's what we want to see from Jalen Raynor. Life is about making the adjustments and see if he can do that this time. Probably a little bit of homer here, but we'll go with the Cajuns finishing 2nd. I went from overrated to contending because they're loaded everywhere except, we think, quarterback. We think they're good on the defensive line. Can they stop the run? They had all kinds of issues there last year. That's with the defensive line and the linebackers, but they have talent all around there. They have an extremely experienced secondary. They need to stop the run, and they got to get off the field on 3rd down. It is a big deal that they have not been able to accomplish over the last year. All right. Offensively, they have an abundance of talent. Amazing running back room as they've had since I've been covering them for 2 decades, going back to Alonzo Harris and Elijah McGuire, little thunder and lightning. They have it this year. Can Zylan Perry, be a part of that offense? Is it just Draylon Washington and Bill Davis, or can Zylan Perry, one of the more dynamic players in the Sun Belt, be part of that and give the Cajuns a 3-headed monster? And that takes a lot of pressure off Ben Wooldridge and Chandler Fields. And if Ben Wooldridge can stay healthy, this team can be really good. They get Grambling at home, then they're going to Kennesaw State, should be 2-0. Then they're welcoming in Tulane, and then they go to Wake. The opportunity is there. That's what we've been talking about for more than a minute. The opportunity is there for the Cajuns to get off to a really good start. We're not going to find out how good they are until those 2 games. And let's see. All right. All of a sudden you start out 3-0 and Wake is not highly rated. You're not playing, bad example, maybe Florida State or Miami or Clemson in this case, or even my Orange. But the Cajuns have a shot to make some noise in the West. And going with the Bobcats again, not surprising. G.J. Kinney, made a splash last year. Now has this defending Sun Belt Player of the Year after the quarterback drama last season. So that's a whole thing. You got Ishmael Mahdi coming back. You got the receiver coming back. I mean, this team is set to take off. All right. 2 things have to happen. The defense has to get better. And that doesn't have to be so risky, right? Somewhere along the way, maybe you do make them march down the field 8 to 10 plays. And G.J. Kinney has to, I hate to say it, has to take the points when they're available. All right. I'm all about the touchdowns. All right. I've been over this. I love scoring touchdowns. Sometimes you have to kick it. Not all the time, but sometimes you have to know when the 3 points is better than nothing. And we saw that a couple of times last year. You can be really aggressive, but you got to pick your spots when not to be aggressive. And so we'll see if, in his 2nd year, right, we always want the players to improve. And G.J. Kinney's been a head coach before at Incarnate Word, but want to see where he improves on his decision-making this season. At the same time, you don't necessarily want him to get too conservative, right? Last year I saw Kane Womack go for, 4th down on the first possession, right? It was like, 4th and 2 from their, 34-yard line, and they're going for it because, they think they need to take control of it. So sometimes that's a little too aggressive, but at the same time, you You cross that 50, you get inside the 45, and it's 4th and 4. I'm all for going for it. All right. I'm not necessarily going for it to convert a 4th down to get another 1st down. 4th and 4 from the 4, and you get a touchdown is different than 4th and 4 from the 12. It's for me. All right, depending on the clock. So to recap, I wish you could see this, but it's Texas State, Louisiana, Arkansas State, South Alabama, Southern Miss, Troy, and ULM. So probably the big surprise is Troy in that. All right, let's take a timeout. When we'll come back, we will do the East as we're previewing the 2024 Sun Belt season. Let me tell you about FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little bit different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. And Factor. Fuel up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. Make your day delicious, from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, oh my goodness, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Yum, yum. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help manage calories, maximize protein intake, and avoid meat, or simply eat well-balanced. Head to factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 and use code LockedOnCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off next month. That's code LockedOnCollege50 at factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 to get your 50% off your first box plus 20% off next month while your subscription is active. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. One more shot at the graphics. I doubt this is going to work, but let's see. No, not working. Let's try it again. Remove. No. Okay. All right. Well, we tried. Okay. So let's do the East. Starting at the bottom, I don't think it's going to be much of a surprise. Georgia State. Big fan of what Del McGee is doing down in Atlanta. I think they're going to surprise some teams this year as well. Like we said from ULM, one of the quirkiest schedules that I've ever seen. It's not only not leaving the state of Georgia. It'd be one thing if they were going on the road a couple of times in the state of Georgia. They're not leaving Atlanta until mid-October. They got a tall task trying to take on Georgia Tech, although that's got letdown game written for the Rambling Wreck written all over it. Can they make a surprise splash? Game one, obviously that's not going to be easier said than done. I think Georgia State will surprise some people as well. But what Del McGee is doing is building with his recruiting efforts, and they're going to be, tough to beat in a couple of years. All right. We got Marshall. We got a whole new thing for Marshall. We're going air raid with Marshall. We'll see who the QBs are and how that works out. The problem with air raid, if it doesn't work, your defense gets tired. And so Marshall has been, vigilant, has been effective is a better word, with running football and playing defense. And now they're doing a 180. So we'll see how Marshall does moving forward this year, but I have them 6th. Finishing 5th, and this could be flip-flopped either way. I'm going to take ODU 4th. I'm going Coastal Carolina 5th. I like what Tim Beck is doing. They're just in a tough division is all it is. And I think, I'm going to give ODU the win over Coastal Carolina this year. And I think that's who's going to finish fourth. But I got Coastal Carolina finishing fifth. They are playing tonight, and we'll get a good look at them against a tough Jacksonville State team. I got ODU finishing fourth. I think that's we'll see what Grant Wilson can do in his second year. They also have a tall task. They are playing South Carolina and Virginia Tech, both really early. They have one of the best home schedules in the nation. It is a hard schedule. They could be better and have a worse record. I think, again, they're going to be tough to play. If you haven't seen them play, we'll see what South Carolina can do. I disagree with Ted Alexander, and I think that they'll get shocked quickly, and then South Carolina will make the adjustments. But let's see what Grant Wilson and the Monarchs can do this season. Finishing third is Georgia Southern. All right. They're going with J.C. French. Got to cut down on those interceptions that have, hurt the Eagles so far under Clay Helton. But they have 3 first-team all Sun Belt players defensively, preseason anyways. And, Georgia Southern could win with defense. And as we mentioned, cut down on the turnovers, and the defense gets a little bit better. We don't have to score 35 points a game. We don't have to put it in the air 40 to 45 times a game. We're going to be better running the ball and controlling the clock a little bit. So instead of having to win, 42-38 or 35-31, maybe we win a little 27-23 ball game, and we do it with our defense and controlling the clock. We got JMU finishing second. Bob Chesney, again, a lot of guys left, a lot of guys coming in. Still don't know the quarterback there, although I do think it's going to be Dylan Morris. We'll see if Alonzo Barnett gets in there as well. Big fan of Bob Chesney. It's going to be fascinating to see, Tim Beck's in his second year as head coach. Jared Parker's in his first. We got Bryant Vincent in his first. But Bob Chesney's had a decade of being a head coach, right? And now all he has to do, there's a lot more to it than when he first got into it, but compared to where he's been, he just basically has to coach football, recruit, and maybe a little publicity on the side compared to, putting the lines down the field, doing laundry, driving a van, right? Doing everything. And now he can just concentrate on the coaching part, and he's got his dad to help. So making it a family affair. And we got App State coming in first. Again, no surprise there. Big Sean Clark fan, and Joy Aguilar. Here's a shot, right? They have a shot to make a splash. They got Clemson in week 2. And again, if they somehow knock off Clemson, App State won't be the story. It'll be Clemson, who's probably going to be 0-2 when the season gets underway if they're playing Georgia. And we could see how App State looks week 1, and we'll compare that to what Clemson looks like against Georgia, because that game could get ugly, that Clemson-Georgia ball game. I am going to take Texas State over App State. I think it's going to be a whale of a championship game. I think Texas State is going to, get their national recognition this year, right? They beat Baylor last year, but then they stubbed their toe beating UTSA, and it kind of was up and down from there, although more up than down. This is a chance for the Sun Belt to, become a big-time program. And if Texas State has the kind of season that they think they can have, that I think they can have, and we heard over the weekend, that the group of 5 school is going to be 12 seed, it may not be, right? Texas State has 1 or no losses. They may be not a 12 seed. And anyways, they get the 5th seed. So it wouldn't matter. So if they could get the 10 seed and end up playing the 7th, you never know what may happen. So that's my 2024 Sun Belt preview. See if I can put graphics up later on just to show you what it was. Again, in the West, Texas State, Louisiana, Arkansas State, South Alabama, Southern Miss, Troy, and ULM. In the East, App State, James Madison, Georgia Southern, ODU, Coastal Carolina, Marshall, and Georgia State. And I have Texas State beating App State, and I think Texas State is going to go to the playoffs. All right. We will preview the rest of week 1 for tomorrow's episode, I hope. And of course, we'll recap Coastal Carolina's game against Jacksonville State. We got to 1,400. We're not going to get to 1,500, but keep it going, folks. We could actually see where we are here in a couple of weeks, but I really do appreciate all the support. Looking forward to covering it once again and having a good time with the Sun Belt, because I think it's going to be a heck of a season. All right. Once again, I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Thanks so much for tuning in. You've been watching and listening to Locked On Sun Belt, your team every day,